Okay, so if you can see me, this is my first time doing anything like this. So thank you for joining me, and please bear with me because this is all new. So it's my first time presenting anything, especially digitally. And then of course, virtually, this is very different. So it's weird to be talking to a screen and not to people. I'm a very people person. So this is a little bit strange, but thank you for joining me. This is a presentation that I'm going to share with you using Flipgrid. And to introduce myself, my name is Amy Duncan, and I teach at Heartland, and I am a third grade math teacher. And this year I will also be teaching writing as well. And this will be my 15th year teaching, which is incredibly hard to believe that it'll be 15 years already. It'll be my second year at Heartland and my second year in Hardin County. I've previously been in Nelson County and Russellville Independent in Logan County, and started my teaching career in 2006 at a small school in Houstonville in Lincoln County. So my husband and I and my two boys have been a little bit of everywhere because of just teaching and coaching opportunities, and we just go where we're led. So here we are in Hardin County, and we've just recently moved to E-Town. So we really enjoy our schools and the kids that we have an impact on. So I created this title, Flipping Through Students' Reflections with Flipgrid, but really Flipgrid can be used for anything. And during NTI this past spring, I used it just with student reflections, but as we'll go through the presentation, you'll know that there's so many other uses for it. And then also, if you have any questions throughout, you can unmute your mic or use the chat that Monica will be moderating for us. So thank you, Monica, and just ask any questions that you may have. So what is Flipgrid? It's something obviously that's online, and we'll go to the site. It's just a website, and it gives students the ability to submit short videos of themselves recording something. It can be a prompt from you or a question, or just saying hello, introducing themselves. And that they have a chance of sharing that with their classmates. And then as many students also submit videos, then they get to see their classmates. So it just will scroll through video after video to the next student, to the next student. And I mean, you can just watch it for hours and hours. Also, the district used Flipgrid for students to upload when they did the virtual field day at the end of May, at the end of the school year. And so when you just watched it, I mean, you could see from kid to kid to kid the different activities or obstacle courses or the cookie in their mouth. That's the two that my son really enjoyed. So why use it? For me during NTI, it was just another way of not just doing the mundane same thing over and over each day. I really tried to make each day different. And so I used Google Classroom, but then throughout those days, I wanted each activity to be a little bit different. And then outside of our Google Meets that we had done as a third grade team, this activity gave the students a chance to see each other, since we weren't allowed to, they weren't really supposed to be interacting at that time. So they were able to see each other, respond, even though they were responding to my questions. They still got to see each other, hear from each other, and they enjoyed that very much. It was a chance for them to just feel connected again. So here are some examples of, well, this is how the lesson that I used Flipgrid during NTI. So my son's teacher used this picker wheel. I had never heard of picker wheel before. And what you can do, it's a free website, and a lot of ads will pop up because it's free. And let me share this tab instead. So I hope you can now see this website. There we go, let me get this tab. And so I have input the different fractions. So let me just say, as a third grade math teacher, the lesson, I had introduced equivalent fractions. Well, fractions in general are difficult to teach without manipulatives. And so I try to come up with different fun activities to introduce the concept to them while virtual. And so this picker wheel, you can put in words, you could put in yes, no. If you ask a question, it can be anything. And what you do is you add your inputs here. So if I wanted to input 4/4, for example, all I do is just add it here then. And so I can just keep adding input after input after input. And so I saved these inputs for you to see that you can do as few as 2 and as many as it's unlimited. And so I just put different fractions here, and then they just had to spin. So it'll come up and they spin, and it randomly selects one half is selected. So then you can just click done, or you can like hide that choice. That one half never pops up again. And what I had them do is on a Google Doc that I had linked to their Google Classroom, they had to record on their Google Doc the 2 fractions that they spun. So I had them spin 10 times. So I had 10 different fractions and a random just to see would any of them that just at random, would they be equivalent? And so then I also linked this math playground has different virtual math manipulatives. And so since we couldn't use them in the classroom, I tried to always have something to support students. And so this, you can change the numerator and the denominator. And so if I did get, since I did get a half, let's say my next selection would have been 2/3. Well, I can change the denominator to show 2/3. And so now I'm going to compare 1/2 and 2/3. Well, are they equivalent? And so we had talked about that equivalent means equal. And no, 1/2 is not equivalent to 2/3. So then on their Google Doc, they would have said not equivalent. So what I was seeing is if by random selection, just for something different, something fun, something to introduce the concept, would they be able to identify equivalent and non-equivalent fractions? Since we had been talking about comparing them and using number lines, especially, this was the same format as the chart that I had shown them with using a number line, because that's the standard. Everything's based on the number line to show that equal point. So let me get back. So then the following day, I used Flipgrid and can show you those examples. Because I wanted to hear from them. And to see if they had any that were equivalent or non-equivalent. So then this was just a way, and also a way to show right away how many students are responding. So we had 4 different classes of 3rd graders, and they rotated to my room for math each day. And so later, well, this is where they would click this plus sign to record a response. And let me show you my example, because you can do this different ways. You can do it in this area. You can do your prompt or your question in lots of different ways, but I recorded my own video. And it's right here. So I will show this. And the neat thing with Flipgrid too is it can be as like short. You can control the amount of time so that the kids aren't going on and on and on and on. So that the preset time is 1 minute 30 seconds, but you can change it, and we'll get to that point too. So here's what I sent to them.
Hello everyone, it's Mrs. Duncan. Yesterday you used the spinner to see if you could find or make equivalent fractions. It was a random selection, so you may or you may not have. But it was just for fun. So now today we're going to use Flipgrid to see what you discovered. So you'll need to answer 3 questions in your response. The first one, were you able to make any equivalent fractions? Yes or no? The second one, if so, I want you to share an example of an equivalent fraction. And if not, then I want you to share an example of an equivalent fraction that would be equivalent. And number 3, I want you to share an example that is not equivalent to each other. I can't wait to hear your responses. Bye.
And then as you can see, it's just going to go right through every answer.
Miss Duncan, I did find a equivalent fraction. 3/6 and 1/3. I mean 1/6. No. 1/3 and 2/6 and 3/6 is not equivalent to 2/3.
So I'll give you another example.
Hi, my one interesting fact is that I know how to check a portion intact.
I did make an equivalent fraction. For example, 6 is 3/4. That is equivalent. Not equivalent is 1/6 and 2/3 5.
So as you can see, there's just going to be like 75 different videos. Some were on topic, some were not on topic, but I went through and then made on spreadsheet, I made a checkbox if they completed it or not, and that's how they got credit. So it wasn't, if they completed it, then I was able to give them the credit for participation grade. So you could be on there for a long time listening to all of the examples. And I can share this presentation if you are interested in hearing all of their examples. But I wanted to give you a chance to ask any questions. So that was an example of the lesson that I used and then how I used it to follow up. So if you have any questions, you can unmute or ask in the chat. I haven't been looking, but all right. So if this is something that you think that you could use, then this is how you would go about creating a new grid. And you're going to start at, I wanted to show you first, but we can go back and forth between these 2 slides. You're just going to start at www.flipgrid.com to get started. And if it's your first time, you're going to click on Educator Sign Up and then click Sign Up with Google. But if you've done this before or just need to start or create a new grid, you can click on Returning User, and then it's going to be linked to your Google login. So you just have to click that button and then you're ready and to go. So of course, like I said, I teach math, so there's lots of ways I can use this, but do you have any ideas of how you could use this or any suggestions of ways that you've used it in the past for any that have?
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Angela. Welcome to High
School. I know, I'm so excited. I am wanting to use Flipgrid as kind of like a thing where kids can record themselves playing their instruments and then, you know, as an assessment so that they can record themselves at home. So I'm not using all of my classroom time. So I'd like to use this even on a non-COVID year.
Nice.
I did try to do a little bit of it during quarantine, but I was not successful with it. I only tried it with one thing. But the few students that I did send it to, they said that they couldn't access it for some reason. Is there something as a new user, like, is there something that I might have made as a rookie that would have kept them from accessing it?
Yes. So I have that on this slide that I am presenting now. Do you see it? My rookie mistake was that I forgot to add in the domain at the bottom, like as you keep scrolling down the page when you're creating it, it'll already have at hardin.kyschools.us. But if you don't put in the domain at stu.hardin.kyschools.us, then the students don't have access to it. So you can go back in and add that later, but it's easier if you just do it when you're creating it, and then your students are all set. So I didn't realize it until one of my really great tech kids said to me, I don't have access, and I think it's because and I went back in and I knew right away it's because I didn't include that. So there will be a point on the page where you will click that you want the students to be able to access it using their email address. And then so then that'll send you to the next page where you're setting up the grid, and then you'll have to add at stu.hardin.kyschools.us. That should give them access, and they should be ready to go. But like I said, I'm a rookie myself at this. This is the first time that I used it. I just kind of had to first step out of my comfort zone to try something new. And then, but once I did, it was like, oh, this isn't as intimidating as I had made it out to be. So I'm going to show you now that once you log in, it should look something like this. And so I'm signed in, and then you get to your grids, and this is where you can start adding new grids. So I created one. This was the one that it was a math talk. And so I thought I could use this like for number talks, whether I'm in or out of the class. But this is the one that I created for NTI. But I just created another one yesterday that I can use for this year. And so you can have as many grids as you want. I gave a suggestion that your grids could be, sorry, let me flip back. Your grids could be like for a new year, or if you have more than one class. And then within a grid, then you create topics. So then your topics are more specific. So your grid is like your heading, and then your topics are your subheadings. And let me go back. So then this is the grid that I just created yesterday so that I can use it for this year. And then I have I have two topics. So this say hello on Flipgrid is going to be automatically the one that comes up. And here you can delete this. It'll show all these different things that you can do. You can delete it, or you can use it as a, hey, getting to know you. That was another rookie mistake. I just left this one and then made it my video that I had shown you from a few slides ago from the example. So that's why some of the students were confused, because they thought they needed to say hello and share one interesting fact about them, because that's what it says to do. That's the prompt. But then I changed the prompt by sharing that video. So I could have just deleted that, I realized after the fact, and then made it more, just one prompt so that they weren't confused. But then just as another idea, I always like to start the year with a math interest inventory, and I do this with paper, but I won't maybe have the chance to do that, or could change it up using it this way. And so I gave the prompt to record a video of themselves, and completing the following sentence stems. And so I did change the time on this, like I was talking about earlier. The standard time is 1 minute 30 seconds, but I did change the time to have them, I think I changed it to 2 minutes 30 seconds instead, so that that gives them more time to express their thoughts and feelings on math. And then this picture here, you can change it with an image or any video or anything like that. So I searched for that picture. So anyway, like I said, the getting started would be to add a new grid right here, and then you name it and just follow the prompts as it leads you. So I can show you. So name your grid, and then here, Angela, is where I made them control who joins by using school email. So when you click school email, and then I will do math class 2 and school email, and let me find my cursor. There we go. It's going to create a flip code for me, and then I can like copy this. I can put this into my Google Classroom so that the students have this. I can just like copy it and then link it right into my Google Classroom so that the kids just go right to it. That's how I got them to just be linked right to the spot. But then, Angela, like I was saying, this is the spot where it already will come up at Hardin, because that's my email, but you have to put in at stu.hardin and the rest of the email address for students to also have access. And so that was my rookie mistake. I just went ahead and went next. And there is a way to go back and fix that, but it's just easier. So make sure that you have at Hardin, so you have access, and then at stu.hardin. And then if you have a co-teacher, they'll be able to access it too, because it's their email domain, or if you want to share it with any colleagues. And so now your students will be all set. And like I said, you can copy it right from here, link it directly to Google Classroom, and you've just created a grid.
Does each individual grid have its own separate code to join it?
Yes, as far as I know.
Okay.
Because that is a different link. I'm assuming so, because that's a different link. Every time I get these codes, it always says Duncan, but then these numbers at the end are different. So I'm assuming every code then, or it would be different for each grid. Good question. So you could have multiple ones going on at the same time for different classes, things like that. And then within your grid, now you're ready to create topics. So like I said, this one's going to be standard, but if you don't want it there, or if you want to change it, so it's going to be pretty standard. I think it says like introduce yourself by saying hello. And then also it'll say like share one interesting fact about you. Yes, so say hello and share a fun fact about yourself. So if you don't want that, or if you want your intro to be a little bit more, you can delete this. Let me show you this. Like this is the one that I created, welcome to 3rd grade. So if I use this, record a video to introduce yourself to our class. So if we don't get to go back in person, then I have this set up, choose 3 to 5 facts to share. I'm looking forward to getting to know you and work together this year. Then this is where you can add a topic focus, and you can choose to record a video of yourself. Like you could repeat by reading what I just wrote to them, upload a video of your own, add a YouTube video, upload an image from your computer. And then this is also something, or even an emoji. You can link to Kahoot. I mean, there's really lots of things. Or you don't have to, it's optional, so you can just leave it blank. And then all of these things are just extra things too that you can do. I leave everything as is. Or you can like delete the topic. So however you want to do it, it's really up to you. But that is an example of, it's still saying hello and introducing themselves, but I created it so that it would give a little bit more directions to them. So it's really what you want to do with it. Let me. So we just kind of get to play around with it. Any other questions? Thank you, Angela. And like I said, I'm really new to it. I only did one. But I'm learning. So my final thoughts are, there are so many ways to use it. I had heard about it for years. I actually had a colleague at a previous school that used it all the time, but she made it seem like it was a bit more challenging than it actually was. So I kind of shied away from it. And when I finally thought, well, this would be something fun for the kids during NTI, I wasn't sure about it, but now that I've used it, I will continue to use it. The kids were really engaged with it. They had fun using it. It was simple for them to use. Like I said, they just have to click on the plus sign and start recording. When you click on the plus sign, it'll like count down for you, like you have 3, 2, 1, and then you just start saying, and then at the end you can click a selfie. So like that's fun too for them. And then you can add different emojis and pictures like that too. And then I just had to be willing to try something new. It was much simpler to use than I expected. And I hope that you'll give it a try and find it useful too. And thanks for joining me and giving me the opportunity to share my new learning with you. Sorry, it started pouring at my house. And then if you will also, like Monica shared from the beginning, this is a link to the Google form before moving on to your next session to let the district know that you attended this session and get credit for your PD hours. So I will stay on if you want to start creating one. Like I said, I'm just learning myself, so I don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to help try. So just my final thoughts on that, and hope you found it useful, and I hope that you'll give it a try. I'm just getting back to the comments. Thank you, Monica. That's a great idea. This will be my first year in several years teaching writing. So getting to hear them recording themselves, reading their writing pieces, that would be an excellent idea. Just give them a chance to hear themselves reading it for fluency, but also like being able to share their voice. and then sharing with others too, as it will scroll through. Thank you, Angela. So happy to have you in Hardin County.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
Yay!
I actually just now created I was trying to create my own Flipgrid, so I fixed that other problem. So awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
That's a huge help.
Good.
How did
That
you
was
say that
great.
you change the picture? Because it's just showing like a piece of wood.
Yes. So the picture like on the side,
Yes.
okay. Now I don't know how to change it once. Okay, let me try, not the grid one, but this one. Let me go to add new topic. Let me share this tab. Topic, title. What do you wonder? Okay, so then I'm going to change I can keep my recording time the same based on the video on comparing fractions. Share what you wonder. Something generic like that. And then I'm going to click down here. Compare fractions. See what pops up here. Oh, yes, these are going to be like gifts, which some of them weren't really appropriate for like my students. I don't know. Let me do an emoji. Is this what you're asking? Am I in the right place?
Well, actually, I was talking about the Flipgrid, not the topic.
Oh, okay. Now let me
Like what?
clear this.
Because of course I'll have several different classes.
I know what you're talking about. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Sorry. Let me.
That's okay, because that would have been something interesting to note as well.
This is what you're talking about. These pictures here.
Yes. Do they just come up randomly?
They come up randomly. I don't know how to change it. There may be a way. If somebody knows how and can share, that would be wonderful. Maybe this edit. Let's just try. Grid type. There's my email addresses. Captions. Personalize. There we go. That little pencil edit. So this is what was what randomly selected, but then here, oh, how cute. I can click that and that'll be my next, or, books or whatever. I can click on these. Now, it looks like these are featured, and then you've got nature choices and people choices and texture choices. So there are plenty of choices. I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for, but you can make each grid different then.
It's better than that plank of wood. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, that's probably in textures. Oh, this is neat for math with different things. So yes, this is the one you're talking about right there. Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Yep. So just, and then you click update grid once you make your choice. Yeah. So click on that, that pencil to edit. Good question. Yeah. I figured that out too. Thank you.
I got to use this last year on the receiving end, almost as if I was a student, because the special ed teachers used it for all of their SPED students. And so they needed 3 educators. They used the homeroom teacher, and then they picked 2 other educators to say good things about what gifts do they have. So celebrating the gifts that they did have. So I was just really surprised at how easy it was to make those videos. So so I knew immediately it was something I wanted to use in my classroom. I just didn't know how to do it on that end. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much too. Any other questions as you're creating your own? Thank you, everyone. This was my very first time, like I said, so I was a little nervous. And then these actions here, like, I mean, I can add my co-teachers, I can duplicate it, which is helpful. Just like you can duplicate your lessons in Classroom. So I can duplicate this for different groups or different classes. It's going to take a while. I can delete it. So lots of different uses. Oh. Is anybody having trouble getting in? I will also try and share it just if you want to see my links or anything like that. And I think that would be okay because there's confidentiality. The students don't say their whole name. Let me try this quickly. See if that works. Just in case you wanted to see any of the links or the kids. They don't mean as much to you because they're not your kids, but I still love seeing them. So of course, if we were in person together, we could share our different grids and topics and things. But if anybody has any other ideas to share or anything like that, you can unmute or use the chat box. Helps others gain ideas like Monica did for me. That would be awesome to hear kids practicing their own writing and then sharing with their other classmates, whether in the classroom or outside of the classroom. So lots of great ways. And that's all I have. So, I mean, like I said, I'm going to stay on. So you're welcome to keep asking questions and trying it out yourself. Or hopefully that link, if you want to try it out later, you have my email if you have any questions. And then go ahead and make sure that you've got that. And Monica already linked that like we had talked about. So just give yourself some credit for being a participant. And thank you so much. great idea with fluency. Thank you all so much. That's very gracious of you. I appreciate you being here. And along with the fluency, if it's like if you're working on words per minute, you can adjust that. So at 1 minute, you'll know how many, like if practice, give them a chance to practice. They have a minute to read as how far can they go, and then like have them challenge. Can you get further and further? So I really like that suggestion with practicing fluency and changing the time to modify and challenge them to how many more words can they read. Great thinking.
Hey, Amy.
Hey.
I'm noticing that there's a option for an attachment link. Have you ever used that?
No, but when I was going through and creating a new one yesterday, I saw that. So like this is endless. Like what I would have used. What I just went on the interactive notebooks and Google Slides session. That was my first session this morning. And everything that could be done on a slide, it looks like could be done within Flipgrid. And so I didn't explore that yet, but I did see it as I was adding a new grid yesterday. So it's like, it could be linked to this. And I mean, it was, again, possibilities are endless, uses are endless. So just kind of exploring, find out what it can do. But I was amazed when I saw that. Like I said, when I went in this past spring, it was the first time ever creating a grid. So I just did what I needed to just to get them to respond. But then when I went in yesterday, it was like, oh my goodness, there's so much more that could have been done with this that I can explore this year.
Mm-hmm. I'm also noticing that students could have the option to like other student videos. And
Yes.
With that, we could almost use that as like if we wanted students to be allowed to vote on something.
Yes. Yes. Or in like band or chorus, like a critique of some kind, if you use that.
Exactly.
Or in art.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm thinking in that direction. Yes.
Neat. Yes, I did see that's normally not an option, but that you certainly could turn that option on.
Right. I could see how that could, we don't want it to be too much of a popularity contest.
Correct.
But
yeah,
it could have its perks at times.
Yes, yes, especially in the arts, music, however you need to, critique, and yes, with guidance and, be able to control that.
Now, the sticky notes, can they add notes on other students, or is it just for themselves?
That I'm not sure about. I haven't used that.
And then the student-to-student replies, we could have ask students to like maybe identify one good thing that another student did in their performance or whatever.
Yes, yes. So that it's like, so it's reflective for you to like see their performance, but then it's reflective. It's like the next level step for then the kids to communicate with each other.
Right. Give some positive feedback.
Yeah. Fantastic uses. Easier to do now that I'm teaching older students than kinders and first graders. It's a little more challenging, but still could be done, like with, that teach them early what's acceptable and not acceptable, and encouraging and positive, and
Have you ever used the rubrics? I'm looking down on the feedback where it says custom feedback. And you can build and assign a custom feedback rubrics.
No, I did see that. Like I said yesterday, I saw all of those other options that I did not utilize when I used it, but things to check into. But I did like what I saw, like as far as like, not only do you have your engagement, but then you have your feedback, and then the students being able to communicate together too is neat.
I'm going to play around with that one, I think.
Awesome. One of the other things about Flipgrid is like once you link that, once you create it, that's all you have to do, and then the students take it away. So it's really becomes their voice, their project, and just their thoughts sharing back with you. So I like that too. Like once you create it, your work is done. you just get to then view the videos. Or, with the feedback that Angela is looking into, that you can still give feedback and communicate back with them. But then really the show is the kids, and it gives them that ownership and their voice is heard. So I do like that part of it. I know Brandy wanted us to wrap up about 10 minutes early, just to give you a chance to take a break, use the restroom if you need to, sign into your next room, unless you're staying in Summit Room 2 for the next presentation. But like I said, thank you again for joining me, and I hope that you've learned something new. If you want to continue to ask questions, please email me, and I'll do my best to assist in any way I can. And remember the sign-in link, Brandy linked it again for you to get the credit for attending. So I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day and learn lots of new things. Thank you, Angela. You are too. So happy you're here. Thank you, Monica, for moderating. And I'm going to leave and head on to my next session. Thank you, everyone.